You are watching
State of Real Estate. Every Friday at 12 noon Eastern Time. Grow your real estate business. You're watching State of Real Estate. Hey, welcome to this week's episode of State of Real Estate. I'm John Chrismo, and every Friday at 12 noon Eastern Time, we come to you, into your phones, into your homes, into your computers, devices, whatever it is that you're watching, to help you understand how to take your real estate business to the next level. That's what we focus on Fridays, taking your business to the next level. On Wednesdays, we do Ask the Instructor, and that's to help you understand the technical side of the real estate industry. But we do both of these shows to help our students succeed in every way possible. And hey, maybe you're not even one of our students. Actually, was just at Instructor Continuing Education yesterday. There was like instructors from all over the state of Florida gathered here in the Tampa Bay area, and people coming up to me, other instructors saying, "Hey John, I love your videos." Not even from our school. So I appreciate all you guys out there watching, tuning in, subscribing, liking, sharing. It's you guys that are watching the show the reason why we do it. If we didn't have anybody watching the show, we wouldn't do this show. So keep liking, keep subscribing, keep sharing with your friends to help them take their real estate business to the next level. What we're talking about today is a topic that I'm super excited to talk about, because I think this is something that's really going to help you elevate your game and play the game at the highest level of real estate, and that's knowing how to effectively negotiate a real estate deal. And now when I say deal, I could be talking about a listing agreement. I could be talking about a buyer brokerage agreement. I could be talking about a purchase and sale agreement. I could be talking about you going to purchase a car. These negotiation principles that I'm going to be talking about here, the core principles, they're applicable for really any type of negotiation when you're negotiating something. But we're going to be focusing today on how to use this in real estate. And so let's get first into the why you want to understand and know how to effectively negotiate. So let's go tie this into where you're getting paid as a real estate professional, where you're showing value to get paid in the real estate industry. And the source of this money is really ultimately, this is coming from an agreement, probably 99% of the time, that's pre-negotiated out with the listing agent and the seller of the property. So between the listing agent and the seller. And now this listing agent, it's their job to negotiate the commission for the entire transaction. So not just how much money they would be getting paid, but themselves as well as whoever's representing the buyer in the transaction. If that happens to be them, they're doubling their commission there. So they're basically pre-negotiating what it is if they double theirs, if they end up actually going out and doubling the commission by working with both the buyer and the seller, which is absolutely possible in the state of Florida with the real estate laws that we do have. So going back to the negotiation aspect of this, you're responsible for the entire transaction, the entire commission for not only yourself, but whoever's working with you in the transaction. And now there can't be any sort of steering based on commission. Commission is always negotiated. And let me just have this disclaimer here before we get into this here. The commission is always a negotiated amount between the brokerage company and the client paying that commission, typically going to be your seller. That's always a negotiated amount. There's no flat rate. And believe me, they're going to try to beat you up on this. It's a competitive marketplace where if you don't, the way you can charge a higher commission and command a higher commission is if you show value. And one of the easiest ways to show value, and there's already a statistic out there that says that typically when you use a real estate agent versus selling a home for sale by owner, you're looking at about a 10% bump in the sale price you could achieve for the property. So about a 10% bump you could achieve for the sale price of the property by using an agent. So even if an agent's charging 8%, which that's a high commission. I mean, you're maybe seeing 6%, 7%. Maybe you're even charging 8%. Hey, maybe you're charging 10%. Even at that point, that would be a break even based on the statistics. But I would venture to say you could probably even command a much higher return than that if you're an effective negotiator. And just having this introduction of and the reason why this is across the board about a 10% bump it is that you're seeing, again, that's an average number. That's not a guaranteed bump when you're using an agent, but that's the National Association of Realtors statistics saying it's about a 10% increase using an agent versus selling a home on your own. And the reason why is because you have this third party negotiating on your behalf. If let's say you and me, we're trying to get into some sort of deal together, and it's just the two of us negotiating with each other, there's definitely going to be, it's harder to put somebody in a better position when you have a middleman in between us negotiating, or sometimes multiple middlemen, multiple brokerages between the buyer and the seller negotiating a transaction. That's going to be where there's ultimately a higher degree of representation, no doubt about it. But the fact that you have to go to somebody to go talk to somebody, that makes it so you're making sure the message comes across in a way that is tied in directly to the objectives that that party is trying to receive. So when you have that third party that's there, they're not the person saying, no, you tell me what it is that is the lowest price you're going to pay. She's like, no, I'll have to check with my seller the lowest price they'll accept, or with my buyer for the lowest price they're the highest price they're going to pay, or whatever it may be. So having this third party, this person in between, automatically shows value if it's done correctly. Because again, that 10%, it's not a guarantee. It's an average, which that average number means there's some people that are probably kicking that number up a lot higher than 10% versus what the homeowner could do on their own if they're selling it for sale by owner. But at the same time, I would probably even say that there's people out there that have no idea how to negotiate whatsoever. Maybe they think they know how to negotiate, and they're actually doing more harm than good. They may be even lowering that price. So having effective negotiation skills is essential, and that's what we're talking about today. Now, going back to you're working with a seller, you're agreeing to how much it is you're getting paid. If you could show that, hey, by the National Association of Realtors says on average it's a 10% bump we're going to get in the price by using a professional, I'm going to shoot for even higher than that, than what you could get by yourself, because I'm a skilled negotiator. Now, and part of this goes into the marketing of the property. There's no one thing that ultimately it makes you the best agent in the world. It's a combination. It's a multitude of things that ultimately makes you an effective agent that's going to be able to maximize the sale price of the property. We're going to take a quick commercial break, but when we come back, we're going to talk more about negotiating. We're going to talk about specific tactics you could use, because I know you guys want the things you can go out there and use today to help you get more money on your listing agreements, to help you get a better price for your sellers or a better price for your buyers, and these negotiation tactics will help you out with that. I'm John Charismo, State of Real Estate.
You are watching
State of Real Estate. Every Friday at 12 noon Eastern Time. Grow your real estate business. You're watching State of Real Estate. Have you been thinking about starting a career in real estate? Enjoy an entrepreneurial lifestyle that allows for schedule flexibility with unlimited income potential. In real estate, the sky is the limit, and what you put in is what you get out. Learn more about a career in real estate at tampaschool.com. Tampa 10 years ago is nothing like Tampa today. It's changed dramatically over those years, and that's what's really transitioning this to be the number one healthiest housing market in the entire nation.
Do you want to incorporate studying for real estate exams into your busy schedule? Now you can review the key topics you need to know to pass your class and state exams with our MP3 audio review. Simply pop in your headphones or connect to your car to reinforce crucial information while you exercise or drive. Listen to the first unit for free at mp3audioreview.com. That's mp3audioreview.com.
Hey, if you liked the show today, be sure to hit like and subscribe and post your comments. Thanks so much for watching.
You are watching
State of Real Estate. Every Friday at 12 noon Eastern Time. Grow your real estate business. You're watching State of Real Estate. Have you
you been thinking about starting a career in real estate? Enjoy an entrepreneurial lifestyle that allows for schedule flexibility with unlimited income potential. In real estate, the sky is the limit, and what you put in is what you get out. Learn more about a career in real estate at tampaschool.com.
Tampa 10 years ago is nothing like Tampa today. It's changed dramatically over those years, and that's what's really transitioned this to be the number one healthiest housing market in the entire nation.
Do you want to incorporate studying for your real estate exams into your busy schedule? Now you can review the key topics you need to know to pass your class and state exams with our MP3 audio review. Simply pop in your headphones or connect to your car to reinforce crucial information while you exercise or drive. Listen to the first unit for free at mp3audioreview.com. That's mp3audioreview.com.
Hey, if you like the show today, be sure to hit like and subscribe and post your comments. Thanks so much for watching.
You are watching
State of Real Estate. Every Friday at 12 noon Eastern Time. Grow your real estate business. You're watching State of Real Estate. Hey, welcome back to this week's episode of State of Real Estate. I'm John Chrismo, and this show is brought to Are we back on? Are we back on? Are we live? This is John Chrismo coming to you live from the Tampa School of Real Estate Studios. Currently outside, there's a massive storm. Just took out our live stream, so it's okay. I might be a little dramatic here, but we're safe and sound here in the studio. This building's built like a rock, but you know it's like hell turning loose out there right now. It took us off the live stream, so you know that's definitely not good. But we're back now, and we're talking again this week about how to negotiate a real estate deal. How it is that you're going to basically be able to show value in that you add value to them. So let's go back to the situation with the seller with the listing agreement. And one of the things you definitely want to be able to negotiate out is the commission that you're charging in a listing agreement. And this is one of the hardest things that an agent has to negotiate. And part of this is there's no middleman involved when it's just you and your client here. You know, maybe you're part of a team, or maybe you have to check with your broker, and that's making you part of a middleman. But ultimately, if you want to get the deal done, you want to be able to negotiate effectively at that given point in time right there. So you're trying to command some sort of higher commission. Showing the fact, and with all this, you have to show value. When you're able to show value, showing the value that you have to market the property, to effectively negotiate, to have the knowledge necessary to transfer the property, all of these things are going to add to the value it is that you're showing them. Because think of anything it is that you've purchased before, whether it's something small or something large. The reason why you purchased it is because it had some sort of value to you. You're purchasing a car because you need to get from point A to point B. You're purchasing a luxury car because you want to get to point A to point B in style, and you're seeing the value of that, whether that's maybe you're seeing the value in having a luxury car to your business because you want your clients to see that you're a good real estate agent. So maybe that's why you want a nice car. Maybe not the best strategy. Don't use that and go out there right away, because they don't care what kind of car you have if you don't know what you're doing and what you're talking about. They say, okay, get back in your nice car and drive off. It's definitely the skills and the value it is that you're showing there, but maybe that's why you got into that, because you saw value in that. Or whatever it is that you're purchasing, you purchase it ultimately because you see value in it. And when that value is going to outweigh the cost, that's where you're getting a deal. And this could either be that you're lowering the cost to get it below that value. You see the value here and the cost is here. So if you get that price down here, you get that price below that value point, you bring one down below the other. Now all of a sudden you think like you have a deal, and you feel confident going into this because you see, okay, yeah, that this is some sort of deal. But if the value's way up here and the cost is already here, The cost is already higher, but when there's more value, again, they feel like they're getting a deal. So part of this is all about showing the value in what it is that you're getting. And really, this doesn't have so much to do with negotiation, but it's an ultimate prerequisite, because it doesn't matter how good of a negotiator you are, how good of a closer you are, if you're not showing value before you get to those aspects, you're never going to be able to actually close the deal unless the person's just crazy and just sick of listening to you or whatever it may be. Then maybe you'll get a deal out of that. But it ultimately starts with showing the value and having this ability to negotiate. This is going to, when they see how good you are at negotiating your commission, they'll only begin to imagine how good you are at negotiating the transaction for them, negotiating the sale of their property. So you're very much on display here. You're performing for them, showing them your abilities in negotiating. So I told you guys that we're going to get into some tactical and practical things you could implement today, rather than just talking about the why and everything you need to know behind this here. So with the negotiation, the biggest rule that I would say, the number one thing that you want to know here is who's in control. Because I guarantee this, whoever's in control of the negotiation, whoever's in control of this transaction and control of the negotiation is ultimately going to be the winner. That's any sort of negotiation, I don't care who it is, who has the control is going to be the winner. So that's what we're going to be focusing on, how to gain control of this negotiation. Because if you lose control, that's where you're going to ultimately walk away from the negotiation losing. Whether that's you don't do the deal because you couldn't get it to where you needed it to be, or it could be that you do the deal but you're paying more than you should, or you're not getting as much value as you could have, or whatever it may be. So you want to have control. Now let me elaborate a little bit further here on this control aspect here and what this basically means. So let's again go back to our listing agreement. Let's go back to our listing agreement. You're trying to negotiate the commission, or really negotiate the listing agreement contract, because it really shouldn't just be about the price. That's one of the things we're going to be getting into here. You're trying to negotiate this listing agreement. So you're trying to convince them to sign on to use you and pay you ultimately X amount of commission, whatever it is that you're negotiating there. When they want to sell their house more than you want the commission, who's going to win there? When they want to sell their house, and now, not even that they want to sell their house more, but they want to sell their house more with you rather than anything. If you're the one that's desperate, it's really comes in, to use a different term, different phraseology, to make it a little bit clearer here. Whoever's more desperate is going to be the loser. If somebody needs, let's go back to the buyer and seller situation. If we've got a buyer that absolutely needs to buy right this second, as opposed to a seller that wants to sell, but they got time on their side, who's the winner in that case here? It's obviously going to be the seller who can wait. Because if the buyer needs it right now, they're not going to have time to negotiate. So it ultimately comes down to the intentions and the motivations, and ultimately who has control in that situation. The buyer that needs to buy right now, the seller that's like, yeah, maybe I'll sell it to you, but maybe I'll wait. Who's got the control in that case? It's obviously the seller in that case, because the seller's like, you know what? I don't know if I want to sell it at that price. They're controlling the situation. Therefore, they're the ones that are ultimately going to be winning in the negotiations. So that's a big part of this, is going into this. And now there's ways around this. You could hide the fact that you don't have control of the situation. Maybe you don't. Maybe as working with that buyer that's trying to get the property and they need the property right away, if you tell as the agent, the seller, that they need the property right now, they'll pay any price for it. Not only are you going to be breaching even limited confidentiality with that there, but that's going to basically make it look like they're desperate and they're like, okay, they need it now? Yeah, we're not taking less than full price. I mean, what are we even negotiating for it at this point? I mean, maybe we can negotiate on some terms and things like that, but when they see that's the control that I'm talking about there. That's what I'm trying to make clear to you right now, is whoever has the control is ultimately the one that's going to be the winner. And whenever you don't have full control of the situation, that's the last thing you want the other party to find out about this here. When you're on the listing appointment and your fridge is looking pretty empty, you need to get some groceries or whatever it may be, and you're desperate to get this listing, you're probably going to take a lower commission rate just because you want to get the listing, just because you need a listing. So, but again, now who has the control of this? Whoever, and there might be a certain degree of control on both sides, but ultimately whoever has more control is going to be the winner. Now, let's talk about something, and this is the biggest recommendation I like to give agents when they're negotiating a listing agreement. So, again, with the commission, it's a negotiated amount between the client and the brokerage company. So this is a negotiated amount. There's no standard or preset rate. Nobody could tell you to charge a certain rate. There's all kinds of price fixing laws that apply with this here. So it's always a negotiated amount. So with this, we're going to have some sort of negotiation. I mean, you might have somebody that says, okay, let's sign off. I'll pay you 7%. Let's get this deal done. Sign off on it. Let's get this house sold. I love you. I think you're the best for the job. If you show all that value before then, you'll be good. But remember, you've got your two things. You've got your price and you've got your value. When they're right here equal, that's an even exchange. But people want to get a deal, especially in a competitive marketplace. When there's other agents that are calling them, that are phoning them in, when you have competition to who's going to list the property, you got to do one of two things. And really it all boils down to spacing these out. But you got to get your price lower than what that value. The value has to be higher than the price it is that you're charging. Maybe you can make sense of charging 10%, but if you're going to do that and if you're going to get them to agree to it, you have to show over 10% of value. And maybe even just 10% of value. But if you're showing the same amount of value it is that you're charging, people aren't going to be excited and motivated. If you want somebody to get the deal done now and finish the negotiation and close the deal, you have to have the value exceeding the price. And we're going to be talking about some other ways you can kind of negotiate with this here, but ultimately what I'm trying to set forward up front is you understand by what it is that you're doing that you're going to charge, let's say, 7% commission. You want to charge 7% commission, and you have a certain set of things it is that you do at the 7% commission rate. Obviously, you're showing high value with that because this could vary on the market that you're looking at here, but that's probably at the top end for commissions in most markets. I mean, that might be an average number, but the 7% is, at least in the Tampa market, you're maybe looking more at a 6%. So 7%, why are you charging this extra 1%? That extra 1% might not sound like much, but if we're just talking about let's say a $300,000 home, that's an extra $3,000 for that extra 1%. So that definitely is a difference maker. So you're showing value. Now, the key thing is understanding that price versus value, because what we're going to be talking about going forward is not how to negotiate on that price. If you want to keep that price fixed, we're going to negotiate based off the value. We're going to take a quick commercial break. We're going to be right back. I'm John Chrismo. You're watching State of Real Estate.
Have you been thinking about starting a career in real estate? Enjoy an entrepreneurial lifestyle that allows for schedule flexibility with unlimited income potential. In real estate, the sky is the limit, and what you put in is what you get out. Learn more about a career in real estate at tampaschool.com.
Tampa 10 years ago is nothing like Tampa today. It's changed dramatically over those years, and that's what's really transitioned this to be the number one healthiest housing market in the entire nation.
Do you want to incorporate studying for your real estate exams into your busy schedule? Now you can review the key topics you need to know to pass your class and state exams with our MP3 audio review. Simply pop in your headphones or connect to your car to reinforce crucial information while you exercise or drive. Listen to the first unit for free at mp3audioreview.com. That's mp3audioreview.com.
Hey, if you liked the show today, be sure to hit like and subscribe and post your comments. Thanks so much for watching.
You are
State Real Estate. Every Friday at 12 noon Eastern Time. Grow your real estate business. You're watching State of Real Estate.
Have you been thinking about starting a career?
Hey, welcome back to this week's episode of State of Real Estate. I'm John Chrisman. This show is brought to you by the Tampa School of Real Estate. We're currently weathering the monsoon, the hurricane, the typhoon, whatever it is that's going on. I'm looking out the window. There's flooding in the streets. No, I'm just kidding. There's no windows in this room here. There's a window, but we have it all covered up for making me look nice and white. Looking kind of white today. But anyways, let's get back into State of Real Estate. This week we're talking about how to negotiate a deal. And really we could be talking about the listing agreement, we could talk about the purchase and sale agreement, we could talk about a buyer brokerage agreement, but what we're focusing on now in the specific situation is the listing agreement, because this is what I see most agents have so much trouble with effectively negotiating, because now they're not negotiating on behalf of a third party, which automatically is easier than when you're negotiating directly between you and somebody else. Because with that, it's a little bit harder to hide who's in control of the situation here. So in order to take control of the negotiations, when you go into a listing appointment, you should know up front what amount it is that you're going to be charging and what value it is that you're going to be doing, that you're going to be showing, that you're going to, what items, what marketing package, whatever it is that you're doing to help them sell that property. You have that in mind ahead of the time, and don't just think it's, I'm going to put it in the MLS and put a sign on your property. I mean, that even if you're charging the lowest commission rate in the market, they're probably going to pick somebody else, because you got to do more than that these days. It's easy to do more than that these days, but you have to be able to speak to it. You have to be able to speak to these things that you're able to do. So you got to know what the value is that you're going in there with and what the price it is that you're going in there at. So ultimately, the way I like to make this out, once you've done your presentation, you've gone through, you've shown your value and so on and so forth, you're sitting down, and yes, you should be sitting down with your client, probably at the kitchen table. Don't go sitting down in their living room, you know, kind of kicking back in the living room saying, yeah, so I'm going to charge 7%. That sound good to you? Don't that you can see that doesn't seem professional whatsoever, and it's not. You want to sit down at the kitchen table. That's where the deals get done. You know, some sort of table. Kitchen table's the best. If it's something similar to the kitchen table, that's good. Maybe at the home office, at a desk or something like that, that's probably even better. So you want to be in some sort of semi-formal type of environment where you could actually sit down and professionally negotiate this transaction. So you present to them, I'm going to do this, this, and this, and this. The commission is 7%, or maybe you reverse that. Maybe you prefer to go into, hey, I charge a 7% commission, and with that 7% commission, you're getting this, you're getting that, you're getting this, you're getting this. All I need to get started is for you to sign right down there. You know, maybe you're doing the little thing, you put the pen right on, like the little signature line, push that right across to them, or whatever it may be. But chances are, now, if they love you, they might be good to go right there. And really, if they love you, what I'm saying is that they're seeing more value from you than the price it is that you're charging. You want them to be thinking in their head, if you're setting this up correctly, that, wow, I'm getting all this for 7%, or I'm getting all this for 8%, or I'm getting all this for 10% of my home price. What a deal. So it is hard to show that value. And if you haven't showed that value, that's where your job in the negotiation gets much more difficult. So you definitely want to show this value of what it is that you're going in there for. Now, maybe you're not planning on doing all these extra things, and you're just, and you've got them hung up. Whatever reason it is, they're not ready to sign quite yet. And even if you did show them extensive value, maybe you probably didn't knock their socks off yet, which should be your goal, because then it's a very easy process getting them to sign off on that listing agreement, or sign on whatever agreement it is that you're showing when you've showed enough value. But let's say they're objecting is like, well, you know, and even if they do see a lot of value in you, they might say, oh, well, you know, there's this agent that I talked to that says they would do it for less, that they would do it for this amount instead of your amount, which is more, which that's a huge objection that's very common that you're going to get, especially in the competitive marketplace, and how easy it is for them to find the names and phone numbers of 57 different real estate agents, if not more. And if they're so inclined, they can interview every single one of them and ultimately make that decision. There's probably more information than they know what to do with for that. But what you want to do when they start to get hung up on this, and with this, again, it's all about controlling the negotiation. It's about controlling the negotiation. You're negotiating on the listing agreement. They may give you an objection to price. They may give you an objection or complain about the rate it is that you're charging, saying this person will do it for this amount, as opposed to you who's charging a higher amount. Why should I pay more? That's what they're saying. Notice what I said. Why should I pay more? They might say it, they might word it, why won't you do it for what they charge? But really what they're saying is, why are you charging more? So you have to understand what it is that they're really asking. Now, the way you handle this is very important. You can't start an argument with your client. You can't start an argument with the opposing party. This is not a debate. This is not a debate. If I did debate stuff back in school and whatnot, it's pointless for sales and negotiation. You don't want to debate a client. That's going to get you nowhere. Because even if you're in the right, you're going to be in the right with zero commission, because you're not going to get that agreement signed. So it doesn't matter who's right or wrong. It matters that you guys come to an agreement. So what's the easiest way for you to come to an agreement when you don't agree? You agree with them. And this isn't an original thought for me. There's so many sales books that are out there, whether it's How to Win Friends and Influence People or anything from Grant Cardone or any of these people out there, you'll find that it doesn't use zero good to disagree with somebody. So the way I would handle this, somebody says, this person says they would charge 6%, you're charging 7%. Why would I pay more for this here? Why should I pay you the extra percentage? Or why won't you? Whatever it is that they're saying. And ultimately, however it is, you realize it's a price objection. And what you're going to be saying is, hey, I agree that this is a big purchase and you don't want to pay more, overpay, or somehow you word it along those lines that basically breaks it down and says, hey, look, I agree with you. I'm on your team. I don't want you to overpay for this. This is a big purchase. Because that's what they're thinking in their head. I agree with you. 7% is a lot of money. But with this, you're getting this, 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 and this. So now notice how you're controlling the negotiation. You're controlling the negotiation. You're saying, yes, 7% is more. You're agreeing with them. I mean, are you going to argue with them that 7% is more than 6%? Absolutely not, because who's wrong there? You're wrong. 7% is absolutely more than 6%, or whatever the numbers it is that they work out to be. Or maybe, we'll get into that in a second. So ultimately, they are objecting about the price. You agree with them that your price is higher, that they want to make a good decision, and so on and so forth. So you've got it to agreement. So that basically shuts them down right there about saying, well, this is more. And then now you talk about the things, because you can't just say, well, yes, I do agree that's more, and then just wait for them. And what you have to do is reiterate, because ultimately what they're telling you is that they don't understand the value and the price. That right when they again, leading up to this, if you did a great job showing the value, then the price is going to look like it's down here and the value is up here. When you could do that, I mean, you could charge whatever it is you want. As long as you have that difference between the price and the value, where the value is exceeding the price, it doesn't matter whether you're charging 1% or 10%, as long as the value is higher than the price. But when they're giving you an objection regarding the price, you could do one of two things. You could they see the value here. You might be trying to show the value here, but they're seeing the value here. So what you could do is either negotiate on the price, bring that price down. You could say, hey, look, okay, all right, I know you don't see the value and all the stuff, extra stuff I'm doing, so I'll charge you 6% instead, because that's what they're charging. So you could do that. And that's better than no deal, absolutely, if it comes down to that. But what I would do, because you don't want to sell yourself short. And this comes down to believing in yourself and believing that you could do better than the other agents, because if you don't believe you could do better than the other agents, that you have a better package, a better marketing package, better negotiation skills, whatever it may be. If you don't believe you have those skills compared to the other agents, it's going to be hard for you to sell yourself. And you got to be able to sell yourself first before you're able to sell others. So ultimately what you got to show is, okay, price, you see the price here and you see the value here. Let's talk about how the value's here rather than here, because they're not seeing these two meet up. That's where your problem is when it's an objection about price. So when you're negotiating, again, you want to control the negotiation, because whoever's in control is the one that wins. And you say, yes, I agree with you, 7% is more than 6%. But with that 7% commission that I'm charging, what you're getting is this, 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 and this. And one of these things that I'm doing here is something that you're not going to find any other agents in the area doing. And you don't want to lie about these things, so if there are other agents doing that, don't say that. But have your value proposition down and know what it is that makes yourself better than the other agents, because now it's about that as opposed to the commission it is that you're charging. So rather than making the negotiation about the price, make it about the value. Or you know what? There's another trick you could use too. Again, to try to boost the value up. Maybe they understand that you're doing this, 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 and this, and they get that, and they get what that impacts on the price, but they still see the value here and the price here. So what you can do now is say, hey, look, I normally only do this for clients that I charge 8% commission on, but since I like you, or whatever it is that you want to say about this, since I know that you're going to be better off with me, and I know you're going to like this, and I do want to get your business, what I'll do is I'll include this extra service that I do, part of my 8% package, or part of whatever other package it is, your higher level package, and you could bring that down to there. So what you're doing here, rather than bringing your price down, you're bringing the value up. And that's a huge negotiation tactic. And what it comes down to, it all boils down to controlling the negotiation. You're saying, okay, look, the price is what it is, and you could budge on the price, but that's only going to be less money that you have. That's less money that you could spend on this marketing package, and so on and so forth. So you might want to go into this having some other things you could use to sweeten the deal. When you've heard that term before, sweetening the deal, that just means bringing the value up. Or you could sweeten the deal by bringing the price down, but I mean, again, there's two ways you go about it. For me, I would try to keep the price where it is, and I would add more value before I would discount the price. Because when you discount the price, that's where the mind shift completely shifts to thinking about the value to now thinking about the price. Now, we've got some other things we can negotiate on in these listing agreements. We're going to take a quick commercial break, but when we come back, we're going to talk about these other items you can negotiate on here rather than just the value to get the deal closed. So stick with us. I'm John Chrismo. You're watching State of Real Estate.
Have you been thinking about starting a career in real estate? Enjoy an entrepreneurial lifestyle that allows for schedule flexibility with unlimited income potential. In real estate, the sky is the limit, and what you put in is what you get out. Learn more about a career in real estate at tampaschool.com.
Tampa 10 years ago is nothing like Tampa today. It's changed dramatically over those years, and that's what's really transitioning this to be the number one healthiest housing market in the entire nation.
Do you want to incorporate studying for your real estate exams into your busy schedule? Now you can review the key topics you need to know to pass your class and state exams with our MP3 audio review. Simply pop in your headphones or connect to your car to reinforce crucial information while you exercise or drive. Listen to the first unit for free at mp3audioreview.com. That's mp3audioreview.com.
Hey, if you liked the show today, be sure to hit like and subscribe and post your comments. Thanks so much for watching.
You are watching
State of Real Estate. Every Friday at 12 noon Eastern Time. Grow your real estate business. You're watching State of Real Estate.
Have you been thinking about starting a career in real estate?
Hey, welcome back to this week's episode of State of Real Estate. I'm John Chrismo, and the show is brought to you by the Tampa School of Real Estate. If you're thinking about starting or enhancing your real estate career, check us out at tampaschool.com or give us a call or send us a text at 813-928-0106. If you guys are watching live right now, this is a live show, so if you've had any questions leading up till now about this negotiation process, or if there's anything that you didn't understand, because I know I get wound up sometimes and I start going and I get excited about topics, and I do get excited about negotiations because I think I got some skills in the negotiations. I don't know, you tell me. Put it in the comments. Like to hear from you guys, and if you think this is valuable, share it with your friends, family, realtor friends. Do some realtor things out there. Starting the hashtag realtor things. We'll have to throw that on this little live stream. But anyways, let's get back into negotiating the deal. We've been talking about the listing agreement, and we ultimately broke it down to showing that additional value in comparison to the price. Because when you could show more value than the price, now it's a deal, it's a sale, it's clearance because your price is here and your value is here, and you're like, oh, I got to jump on this. So there's a lot of other stuff that could factor into it as well, and we could lay that out, but it ultimately comes down to showing more value than it is that you're charging. The more value you could show, the easier negotiation is going to be. But you do have people that like to negotiate for the sake of negotiations. And that's not a fun thing to do. When they're negotiating for the sake of negotiations, they're just doing this because they feel like they need to do it. So what you can negotiate on when you present them this document, and you've showed them the value, because that's number one. You show them the value. When they give you objections, you have to reiterate the value. But if they're still giving you objections, what you can negotiate on now, rather than just the price, that price it is that you're charging. And again, you want to agree with them with this stuff here. And ultimately, what it breaks down to, let's say again they're still objecting about the price. Be like, yeah, but 7%, that's still so much. That's X amount of dollars, and blah 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 blah, and on and on and on about all this stuff here. And again, if you're sold on what it is that you're charging, you know that that's a deal. If you know the value's here and the price is here, then that's how you're able to go into this ethically without feeling like you're ripping people off or anything like that. If you know your value's here and your price is here, you can't feel right. You have to offer more value it is than you're charging, ultimately being a better service for your clients. And usually that alone will seal the deal for you. But again, that you might still run into issues with this here. So one of the tricks I definitely recommend using is, again, they're having some sort of objection to this. Again, understand that. So let's say, again, they're still throwing up arguments about the price. Look, I know that I agree with you that this is a higher price than what other agents do charge. But to really show you how committed I am to you and how much faith I have in my offering for you, what I'll do, rather than doing a 6-month agreement, let's just do a 3-month agreement. Does that sound like a better deal for you? And then you leave it at that. Part of this negotiation process of this is knowing when to stop selling. When to stop, when to offer, because you just offered instead of 6 months, 3 months. Now it's their turn to rebut with this. It's their turn to basically come down to, yes, okay, let's do the 3 months, or say, but that's still 7%. It's like, look, I'm confident that I have the best offering, and we could get your home sold even faster than the 3 months. If they're still giving you an argument with it, it's like, look, I normally don't do this, but let's just do 1 month. I know you didn't want to do the 6 months, and the 3 months you're still skeptical, but at 1 month, I know with what I'm offering here and what value it is that I'm offering you, we could get this deal done. And at the end of 1 month, if we still don't have the house sold, it's up to you whether you want to continue to use me or if you want to kick me to the curb. You could tell them that. And when they hear that, they're like, okay, that would probably be enough to get the job done. Another option you have, so that's negotiating the term of the agreement rather than negotiating the price. And everybody likes to make it about the price. And if ultimately you want to win in this transaction, which is get the price it is that you want, then you need to show the value. And you can negotiate maybe on the term. Another thing you could potentially do. Now, this is probably the one of the lesser used methods that I would probably recommend, but it still will work. It might not be as pretty and as nice as some of these other methods here, but what you could say is, okay, well, look, what I'm offering you here, if we can go down to 6% commission from the 7%. I could go down to 6% commission, but at 6% commission, I can't afford to do this. I can't afford to do that. I can't afford to do that. We'll still do this, this, and this, but this is really going to help you get your home sold. And for this extra 1%, I know you're going to get a higher return on your investment from that with these extra components that I could offer you at a 7% commission. So again, when you have these multiple levels that you could deal in here, where you're negotiating now, again, notice here, you do change the value, you do discount your price, which again, this is the last one I'd recommend doing, but if you're trying to get the deal closed, you could say, okay, look, we could step down to 6% instead of 7%, or we could step down to 5%, or whatever it is that your numbers that are that you have laid out here, we could step down to this level, but if we do that, I can't afford to do that at 6%. We got to take out this, we got to take out this, and we got to take out that. And now, if they're okay with that price, if they're more open to the 6%, you could go back now to negotiating about those items, where again, you're about the value it is that they're getting. So maybe you're down now at the 6%, you're saying you're taking away A, B, and C, because at 6%, you can't afford A, B, and C, so at that lower commission rate you're charging, you can't afford A, B, and C to do A, B, and C, so A, B, and C aren't part of the package they would get at the 6% or whatever your lower commission rate would be. And now they're saying, well, I really wanted to have this thing, and you could say, okay, well, look, if I could find a way to work back in A at 6%, do we have a deal? So, and then again, pause, stop talking. So many people have like diarrhea of the mouth, and they just try, I could do this, and I'll have to talk to my broker, and I did that before in a transaction. Stop. Just stop. Say, if I could put A back in at 6%, would you sign the deal now? And that's powerful, especially with that pause at the end. If I could do this, do we have a deal? Whatever this is, that's a line you want to have down. If I could do this, do we have a deal? And now they're stuck with a yes or no question. And if they say no, okay, well, what's still holding you up? And you could really get to the root of the problem. Part of this is about being blunt and just coming straight to it and not trying to have niceties about things and whatnot. I mean, sometimes I'm a nice person, but when it comes to things like this, when it comes to negotiations, when it comes to getting something across, I like to just get to the point. And to cut the fat or whatever it is that they say. I would say, okay, if we could get this done at this, do we have a deal? And if they still say no, okay, well, what's still holding you up on this? And part of this, too, you can't take everything it is that they're saying at face value. That's another aspect of the negotiation. They may be saying one thing, but they really may mean something else. They may be saying one thing, but they really mean something else. And that's where you have to be an effective communicator. Not just in communicating your message, but receiving other people's message. Because they just gave you a message. And that's an encrypted message when they say, oh, that price is too high. That's an encrypted message when they say that price is too high. You have to decrypt that and understand what it is that they're really saying when they say that price is too high. Or let's flip this now. Let's take this out of the listing agreement type of negotiations, because you'd use these same tactics negotiating the sale of the property. And you might have somebody that says, hey, that price is too high for the house. You're maybe negotiating on behalf of your client now, which is already an easier game because you're the third party in this here that's basically going in between it. You're representing them, so they're not going directly to them, directly to their face to say, what is your lowest price that you'll accept? They're saying, what is your client's lowest price you'll accept? So they're already that barrier that puts in between it. That's automatically what gives you the bump in value right there. So make sure you have that part of your presentation as well for listing agreements to show that value that you're getting there. But ultimately, and you could use that same line when you're negotiating the sale price of a property. If I could do this, if we could get the price to this, if I could get the seller to agree to this price, would we have a deal? Or again, you can make it more about the terms with this here. Because they might not be hung up on the price. They may say it's about the price, but maybe part of it is about the price. But let's say that you're closing in 60 days, and you could get it down maybe to 45 days. If you say, okay, well, at this price, if we could cut it down to 45 days, would we have a deal? And you can see how it ultimately comes down to whatever it is that you're offering. You want to always have that question: do we have? Would that work? You want to try to close the deal based on what it is that you're offering. Because whenever you're shaving something off somewhere or bending or being flexible anywhere, that's where you want to get commitment from them saying that this is a deal. Now if this is the purchase and sale, that's where you definitely need to have this in writing for all this here. And that's why you want to have this all written and have express contracts when you're actually negotiating these aspects of it here, not just doing this verbally. Verbal listing agreements are enforceable in court as long as they're less than a year, but I still don't recommend doing verbal listing agreements. When you're negotiating like this, since it's just between the two of you and there's not all these people that we have to hand paperwork around to, it's just between you and the seller, that's where you could say, do we have a deal? And then boom, sign right there. And that's where you want to come prepared. You got to have your agreement ready. You got to know that agreement. So if you do need to make a change on the fly, you can go in there and scribble out or do whatever it is, initial right next to wherever it is that you're making changes. If you don't know where that is in the contract, and what you're doing is you're flipping through the contract, what's happening? You're not in control of the negotiation. You're not in control of the situation. That document's in control. That document's hiding your information that you're looking for in there. And if you're flipping through that contract trying to find the part it is that you need to amend, what that's doing is showing your client. And you might say, well, that's giving them time to second guess. But no, what it's doing is showing your client that you're not in control. And especially when you want to command a higher commission rate, that's where you need to prove to them that you're in control of the real estate space, that you know what you're doing inside and out, not just knowing what the contract says, because when you can't find something in a contract, that's showing them that you don't know what you're doing, that you don't know what you're talking about. So you want to be confident with these agreements it is that you're using them, especially in that listing agreement type of scenario. Man, we should have called this How to Negotiate a Listing Agreement today, because I think that's really what we've been mainly covering here. Hopefully you guys have gotten some value with this. I'm sure if you've been paying attention, you have. But I think that's a good stopping point for us today. And we could go on further and further with all this here, but take that information that we've had here and try to implement that into your business. If anything, try to use that phraseology that I was giving you, that word track or whatever it is that you want to call it. If we could do this, do we have a deal? Using that's a powerful tool to get commitment. And once they say yes, once they verbalize that, especially when you're negotiating a listing agreement or maybe even a buyer brokerage agreement, once they verbalize that, now all it is putting the pen to the paper. There you go. End of story. So try to implement that in your guys' business. If you don't have the real estate license yet, what are you doing? Go to tampaschool.com and get signed up. You can do it online. We've got classes all over the Tampa Bay area, day classes, evening classes. I think our class that we have coming up this Monday in New Tampa actually just filled up on us, and we're doing a wait list for that one. So if you're looking to sign up for one of these classes, do it. The real estate market is definitely hot right now. Tampa's been ranked the #1 healthiest housing market in the entire country. So this is a great time to get into real estate. People are taking advantage of that. If you want to get into class, you can reserve a seat in there or just get started right away in our online course. Or if you have no idea what you're doing going into real estate, give us a call. We can walk you through it over the phone. We've got a lot of great tools, articles, videos to really help you understand the real estate industry so you could be successful, because that's our goal here at the Tampa School of Real Estate. I'm John Carismo. Make sure you tune in next week for next week's episode of State of Real Estate, 12 noon every Friday. Subscribe on YouTube, like us on Facebook, share with your friends, and thank you guys for tuning in. I'll see you next week.
Have you been thinking about starting a career in real estate? Enjoy an entrepreneurial lifestyle that allows for schedule flexibility with unlimited income potential. In real estate, the sky is the limit, and what you put in is what you get out. Learn more about a career in real estate at tampaschool.com.
Tampa 10 years ago is nothing like Tampa today. It's changed dramatically over those years, and that's what's really transitioning this to be the number one healthiest housing market in the entire nation.
Do you want to incorporate studying for your real estate exams into your busy schedule? Now you can review the key topics you need to know to pass your class and state exams with our MP3 audio review. Simply pop in your headphones or connect to your car to reinforce crucial information while you exercise or drive. Listen to the first unit for free at mp3audioreview.com. That's mp3audioreview.com.
Hey, if you liked the show today, be sure to hit like and subscribe and post your comments. Thanks so much for watching.
You are watching
State of Real Estate. Every Friday at 12 noon Eastern Time. Grow your real estate business. You're watching State of Real Estate.